Hello, and welcome to Queer Abbey, the weekly chit show that is performed, recorded, and produced by yours truly. Hi, welcome to the 41st episode of Queer Abbey. I'm happy to have ya. I, per usual, waited until the last minute. It's a little late right now. And it's actually daylight savings time, so we're about to lose an hour. It's 1:53 in the morning, and so I'm pretty sure it's at 2 a.m. that they jump forward on the clock, or maybe 3 a.m. I don't know, and I don't care, but I think that should be illegal. It's really mean that they're taking an hour of my sleep away, because next week is finals week, and it's just like there's so much stuff going on. I am a very busy girl next week. Speaking of which, let me go through my little schedule for anybody who's interested in maybe seeing what I've got going on. There's a movie showing on Monday in Lincoln Hall, the music building of PSU, of all of our film projects. I've worked on 2 different projects that are going to be at this showing. There's The Night of the Living Dead. We've redone all of the sound collectively as this sound design class, and I did like a 6-minute scene that's in there. And I also voice acted one of the characters, Johnny. So that will be showing on Monday at 5 p.m. in Lincoln Hall, as well as the film noir that I collaborated with another composer, Walter, who is also featured as our musical spotlight this week, conveniently. Yay, Walter. And some other film students and sound design students, and we are all creating a film noir together called Jane and Julian that will be shown with other film noirs that are student productions at the same time. So it'll basically be like a film festival of Portland State projects. So I'm very excited for that. Also, on Thursday at noon, I have the noon concert performance with a few other students. We are performing as Monochrome Birthday Party is our group name, and we are going to be demonstrating some like max patch looping type situation. It's going to be pretty fun. So that'll be on Thursday at noon in Lincoln Hall for the noon concert series. Yeah. I'm quite nervous for that performance. However, nervous in a good way, because we're doing something kind of exciting and something a little, like, I don't know, difficult for me. So that's challenging me in a really nice way. Yeah. Busy week. So right after that performance, after I perform for the school or whatever, I am going to go get my rental car from, I don't know, some rental car place near the airport and drive to the coast because my sister is getting married the next day. So when I say I have a busy week, I'm not kidding. I've got performances, I've got finals. Because I've also going to have finals that are due this same week. So, oh my, that's harrowing to think about. I haven't even really considered when I'm going to do those things, but whatever. The cool thing about being in the sound design classes is that my final is mostly constituted by just watching the projects or listening back to them that we have been working on all term. So it's actually not that intensive, but I have a finance class that I'm pretty sure there's a pretty extensive final. So I really need to be prepared for that time-wise. That class has been a real cut to my pride. Unfortunately, I would love to come on here and say that I've just absolutely thought that taking this finance class was super easy and I'm bored and but it's just a lot of concepts to remember that I don't really care about. And so it's difficult for me to remember. However, I've realized that there are calculators for most financial situations and it literally says like in the learning app or whatever, it's like, oh, feel free to use a financial calculator. And my pride doesn't let me do that first. I have to try to work it out on paper, which is so redundant. Honestly, I'm sure a bunch of people are out here using AI to do these problems. So I've compromised now and I've started using the financial calculators. And not only has that made it easier, but I'm also doing a better job. And that's really the important part. So I guess there's a lesson in that. that sometimes there are tools that are available to you and it's not stupid of you to use them. You know, if you understand the purpose of using them, then I think it's, you know, perfectly fine, right? But that can be a tricky, slippery slope, right? Like, just because you don't have to do something, does that mean that you'll just never do it again? Or do you do things for the sake of practice and praxis? You know, what's more important? Anyway, that's kind of boring. I look really pretty. You see? Look. Whoopsh. Whoopsh. Yeah. I have felt some inspiration to do my makeup this week, which has been fun. Obviously, my last episode was just a makeup tutorial, makeup something. I put on makeup on video is what it was. I think I'll probably do more of those in the future because I had fun doing that. And I would love to challenge myself to do more specific makeup looks because I always just kind of do the same thing. So it'd be really fun to branch out a little bit in that regard. Just like I try to do musically, it's always fun to sort of pick a frame of reference and try to achieve it. Yeah. I really got to get into doing some like graphic liner because it's not something I know how to do at all. I'm just not good at it. Oh, I'm not paying this company. I can't drink that on camera. You know, I know some people are extremely polarized between Pepsi and Coke, but I have a controversial, like, I taste the difference between them, but I just don't think that they're that different. They certainly, neither of them taste like caramel like they're supposed to, because I'm pretty sure it's Coca-Cola is like caramel flavored. Maybe I made that up. I don't know. But like, yeah, they just taste kind of like they have the same flavor profile, but Coca-Cola is like a little bit sweeter. No, I think Pepsi is sweeter and Coca-Cola is more like herbaceous. Is that weird to say? I think that that's the difference that I can discern between them. But like, honestly, if you put both of them in 2 cups and I didn't know which one was which, I may not be able to tell the difference. Unlike Delta Work, if y'all know who Delta Work is, she's this gorgeous drag queen and one of the huge inspirations behind Queer Abbey. She has a podcast called Very Delta that airs every week, I think on Mondays, and she is hilarious, and she goes on rants about like food service and lots of other things. And among all of the brilliant things that she has to say, it's eluding me. The way I forgot what I was going to say. I'm going to listen back to this and be so angry at myself for forgetting in the middle of my sentence what I was going to say, but it's tax season. Yep. It does not feel good to pay the government when I look on the news and I see what my government officials are up to. It's so not fun. I'm like, why am I funding this? Why do I have to give my dollars to this nonsense, this just kerfuffle? It's just a bunch of people who mostly come from backgrounds of privilege already, just grabbing money and masturbating the sponsors that have the most money that are willing to fund their lifestyle. Oh my God, it's so annoying. I don't know what the solution to that is either, because like politics is inherently sort of a mess. I think that the people that seek out positions of power tend to be people who aren't very well intended, you know? Like, if you want to be in charge of a bunch of people, I immediately have questions about your character, because like, who wants to actually be in charge of a bunch of people? The reality of being a leader is not great, you know? It's like not fun to have to answer to everybody. And so I think that politicians absolutely prioritize making as much money as possible and having to do as little as possible, just like any other person at their job. You know, like, do you go to your job at Wendy's and fucking sweep once an hour because of the integrity of your soul? Like, fucking no, you don't. And that's because you are just like trying to go and get your bag from Wendy, you know? And that's the same thing that these politicians are doing. They're just trying to get their bag. I'm Wendy, and they're the minimum wage employee going into Wendy's to just get their bag. And it's coming out of my paycheck, which is so rude. And we like destroy other countries and stuff. It's actually so weird. Donald Trump is like absolutely going off the rails, which is unsurprising as fuck. But like talking about leveling Palestine, talking about how Ukraine invaded Russia and Russia didn't invade Ukraine. It's like childish, but also nefarious and scary because these are statements that could embroil the United States in international conflict. But, you know, who fucking cares? Whatever, that's fine. So, yep, there's all that. But, you know, please come to my performance on Thursday and my movie showing situation screening on Monday. And hopefully the world is not leveled by nuclear warfare by then, you know? All right, let's move on to some advice for this week. Alrighty, welcome back to the advice segment of the 41st episode installment of Queer Abbey. The first caller inquired, Queer Abbey, why do I get so easily obsessed with anyone? Like, I have realized that I get attached very fast, like more than the speed of light. What's the issue? How do I get over from this? Well, dear caller, why do you get so easily obsessed with anyone, apparently? It has obviously something to do with you because you're noticing that it's a pattern of your own behavior. Let's start there, right? You've got you and you've got other people. And you have a tendency to attach to other people or feel obsessed with them in your own words. Let's see, when I realized that I get attached very fast, more than the speed of light, and it's quick. It doesn't take much for you to get attached to these people. So could it be that you are lonely? I realized I was just touching my mic cable. I'm sorry if that caused any interference with the audio. Oops. Could it be that you're lonely and that you are not fulfilled socially, sexually, spiritually, and there's something that's missing in your life that you're seeking to fill with the presence of other people? You know, in a very straightforward and general sense, that's true for many people, you know? And how do we go about filling that void, you know? I have various answers and not all of them are good ones, right? And when we find ourselves in that place of loneliness, that pit of needing to be needed by somebody else in whatever capacity, we're prone to obsession and we're prone to spiraling and, you know, looking on people's social media and thinking about situations in the past or what you may say differently in a past conversation or what you would like to say to somebody that doesn't talk to you anymore. You know, you have to, I'm glad that you're noticing this pattern for yourself. I don't know you, and I couldn't tell you why exactly it is that you get so obsessed with each individual person, but I can tell you that it's a response that you have to your life and your emotions that you have. And so start by embracing the fact that you are just responding to things in your life, you know? It's not about good and evil. It's not about you being some freak or being obsessive. It's about your understanding of your behavior and how you navigate and what's good for you and how you can move forward without spending, because it sounds like you're clearly asking it for advice, you know? So I could assume it's something that you want to change or that you maybe think isn't really benefiting you very much. And so you're capable of recognizing it and figuring out what it's doing for you, this cycle of obsession, and then maybe replacing it with a different behavior. Maybe you can become obsessed with fucking manicures or something, or pedicures, and you could do them on me. See, now that is a really good idea and a net positive for both of us. You could become obsessed with Brazilian waxing, laser hair removal, cooking. You know, that could be fun. You become obsessed with filet mignons. That's solid advice. I think we can just move on from there. Thank you. The second lovely caller inquired, Queer Abbey, where do you find work if you're like profoundly stupid? Jobless idiot here, trying to find his way. I've got my bachelor's degree and still managed to retain the IQ of a bag of rocks. Would prefer to keep my clothes on. Okay, that last part was not necessary. Excuse me. Think of who you're talking to. Jobless idiot. You're not a jobless... Well, you might be jobless, but you're not an idiot. You use the word retain, so I know that you're not that stupid. And you also included humor and self-awareness in your question, so I have an inclination that you're actually probably a pretty smart person. And you listen to this podcast, which makes you very smart, so don't talk to yourself that way. What kind of jobs are good for stupid people? Politics, running for office, being a Supreme Court justice, called Amy Coney Barrett, being like about 90% of our representatives in the House and the Senate. Yeah, any of those jobs. If you're an idiot that loves to just collect money from people's paychecks, then you could just do that. You could also be, you can work at a dispensary, let's be honest. That's what I do, and so I feel qualified to say that. You don't have to be very smart to work at a dispensary. There's certainly things that are difficult about it, like just like any customer service job, and there's certainly things that you have to learn in order to work there, operational things, but all in all, the action of just helping people get products that they want, it's just like any other retail job, you know? And all of the finite and interesting parts about it just really have to do with the interpersonal interactions, you know? Like the selling weed part of it isn't too crazy. Although I will say the customer base of people who regularly shop at dispensaries, especially the one that's in where I work, it's too much information. But anyway, the people who come into that one are pretty weird. So, yeah, there's that. But you could do that. I don't know if you live in a different state or in a different country, perhaps. Maybe you're Australian, and I don't know if they've got dispensaries in Australia, but I know they do. They've got them in Canada. They've got dispensaries in Canada. I know they do. I know that they've got dispensaries in Thailand. I know Thailand is somewhere that they've got them now. And there's also other places that they've got legal marijuana. So maybe you could go to one of those places. That could be quite nice. Yeah. And work at a dispensary like I do. Yeah. I don't know why doing that accent made me tear up a little bit. That just activated something emotional within me. There's a very emotional Australian woman in my soul. Cleo, no. Would prefer to keep my clothes on. Well, if you could compromise your morals a little bit, caller, then maybe you could become a go-go boy, because that pays pretty well, actually, if you're like attractive and you live in a large city. The light just did that all by itself. That's a little harrowing. Hold on. La. Let there be light. Oh, but now I look even better. Look at that. The universe said, adjust your lighting, girl. I don't really have many other suggestions to you. Any retail job, pretty much, you could work at. You could work in, Definitely politics. You could drive something. No, don't do that. Honestly, I don't want stupid people driving large vehicles on the road. So yeah, no commercial delivery for you. But other things are perfectly fine. Yeah. Ooh, I used to work at Sherwin-Williams mixing paint. And honestly, I don't think you'd be any good at mixing up the paint colors because that requires kind of a lot of like gestalt, spatial, and artistic, abstract intelligence to be good at that, right? And then also it requires some knowledge of like the chemistry of paint. You know, it's also sort of like the dispensary where it's something that you can just learn all of that as you go. I certainly did, and I didn't know about it before I started. But you could really do the retail part of it just working up front because you just fucking grab gallons of paint and put stuff away and get the paint for people and sell it to them and take their money. I had some very unintelligent coworkers doing that job. I'm just using this as an opportunity to roast people that I know. I'm like, well, I know some fucking stupid people that do this job. Maybe you could do that. Maybe you could be their new favorite coworker. Oh, you like to do nothing? Work at my job because people love to do that there. I think that that's just about enough for this week's advice segment. If you have any quandaries, questions, inquiries, or major issues in your life that you would like my advice about, you can reach out to Queer Abbey using our phone, our email, or anonymous inbox that is linked in the description of this episode. Whether you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts. God, there's like a lot of different places you can listen to this podcast. But the primary places that you can reach me would be that inbox that's in the description. You can just click and fill it out. Our email, which is queerabbey@gmail.com. That's QUEERABBEY@gmail.com. Or a phone number, which is 503-567-2053. So you can reach us any of those ways and, you know, let me know what you're struggling with and I can maybe help you with it or maybe not. Maybe I'll say something completely destructive and corrosive that's really just not helpful at all. But you don't have to listen. Moving on. All right. Welcome to the final and the best segment of Queer Abbey, where we feature a different lovely local musician each week. And this week, we are featuring the talents of Walter L., who is one of my classmates and actually my composition partner on the film project, the film noir project, Jane and Julian. So Walter is a lovely person and a really fantastic person to study alongside. He is extremely smart and kind, and he makes really fantastic music. When I thought to ask about if he had any music streaming or anything, because Walter's a little bit shy. He's not always the first person to announce, like, oh, yes, I'm a really fantastic musician. And it's oftentimes people like that that are really very talented, but just a little reticent to say so. So Walter has this fantastic album out called The Opposite of Money, and it's like, at first I was confused because the first song is this like ambient nature sound type gig. It's like sort of an introduction to the album, and it gives very much like ecofeminism, like nature sounds, abstract. And then the rest of it is this fantastic like reflective rap, R&B sort of sound. And it's just really fucking good. So I featured the second song on the album called Back Then, which has a feature with Mike Moe. Sorry, I'm checking my notes down here. Who is featured on the song, as well as, I believe, the producer of the beat. And I know Walter had some hand in the production at this time as well. Walter is now like a full-blown producer, but I think this was before that they had like, you know, crazy training doing production. So my point being, this is a collaboration with somebody named Mike Moe, along with Walter. And the word I used earlier, I think is really apt. Reflective is like the first thing that comes to mind when I think about this album. Walter It's kind of like a little snarky, a little funny. There's some really clever little turns of phrase in here. And it's really reflective about life, about karma, about having a mindset on your own life and the things that you have control over. It's a really inspiring kind of song, and it's actually a very positive album overall. I think that this song back then, it's just, it seems as if it might be about a specific person or experience that's like a little bit melancholy, but also it's sort of taking that melancholy experience and using it as an example of like, this is how we can move forward. This is how we can carry on and take this experience into the future. I'm getting a little abstract, but this song kind of spoke to me in that way. And I think that y'all will really enjoy Walter's music as well. So go ahead and click and discover the rest of Walter's music. But for now, let's get into Back Then from the album The Opposite of Money by Walter L.
Woo! Eyes open, almost lunch I hadn't left my bed. All I know is don't spend money, each check is a final. I don't wanna test, there's nothing in my stomach yet. Potatoes in my pantry though it's custom equipped, with a doobie in the ashtray, so legit. Vocal enclosure in the 4 section up, not section 8, but I don't have much. Plaid blanket over me so noise can't escape. Adapt and innovate if you wanna be great. Right above my rice was the SM7B dynamic mic, the one that Michael Jackson used to like and chose for Thriller. Post freeze, take a picture, post it. Hurricane upposted, knows no potion, problem is far too potent. Waves to and from our telephones are bleaching our emotions. Tied to the psyche, like me, Emojicon, BRB but write me. I'm only typing this so I can feel less empty. Pop a bottle, watch me party like I'm trendy. Boxed up in envy, wrapped up in wealth. Pursuit of happiness, the path that bends back and forth. I'm the fourth, forging for ends, for as long as I can until my end. So lend an ear like Van Gogh, nurture the seed and it grows. Smarter you work, the further you go. The further I walk, the more I slow to share a moment with the world all alone. Turning off my phone, knew me back then, you already know. No. A moment with the world all alone. I'm turning up my phone. If you knew me back then, homie, you already know. Stay up, stay up, I stay up late, contemplate why. Just the other day, we were chilling, getting high. I wish I had a premonition, told you one time. Hindsight is 20/20 while the future is blind. Struggle with control, barely handle mine. Won't fold to the design. See, stars have a line. Open wounds turn to scars. Love cascades undefined. If light is sparse, root and push through dirt to sunshine. Buried or planted with expectation and faith. I didn't plan it on this planet. Stranded hands up asking for space. Palms up, body in a Y shape. One of a kind. Nobody could take your place. And I see your face when I replay childhood as a slideshow in my imagination. Far away but where I'm from, young, having fun, smiling, cracking jokes. I wanna go back, I miss that the most. A moment with the world all alone. Turning off my phone, you knew me back then, you already know. No. A moment with the world all alone. I'm turning up my phone. If you knew me back then, homie, you already know. Stay up, stay up. So I sat or I sit, where I'm at, where this is. reminisce on the miracles I missed. Riptide, pull me through the mist. Soul beat against boulders, losing sight of the cliffs. I swim against currents, right now currently I search for a ship. Surrounded by salt water, I float in the mist. If I create the vision, you still exist. Still exist, I know that you still exist. All we have are decisions as the cogs spin. Intuition, metacognition, chess pieces on the board. So get a position or die by the sword. Good Lord, help my friends please. Hope that it's not selfish of me, writing a script to put myself at ease. But I believe our collective energy could be the key to absolutely anything. Don't drown, don't sink, keep swimming, don't blink, keep living, don't think too much, don't drink too much. Keep your head above the wake for the sake of the beauty you create. Homie, stay up. A moment with the world all alone. Turning off my phone. If you knew me back then, you already know. back then. You already know. You already know. You already know. You already know. You already know.
All right, y'all. That was The Opposite of Money, and that was Back Then, which is the second track on the album. And you can see why I was so excited about showing you, because it's just really cool. It's really well produced. The instrumentation is funky. It gives this sort of like R&B, cool, swinging kind of vibe. And Walter's lyricism is really fucking clever. And yeah, you should listen to the rest of the album. So I have to report to you that my titties hurt. They do. And I have to be at work in 4 hours and 40 minutes. So I should probably get to bed pretty soon. As much as I love Walter's music and as much as I love chatting with all of you, I think that I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for now. Thank you for joining me each week on this lovely podcast where we gather like a little black mass of weirdos in the Queer Abbey. There's a new episode for you each Sunday morning. Sometimes I produce them, like right now, each Sunday morning at 3 a.m. So stay tuned, and thank you again for listening. I'll see you next week. Mwah.